Death in comics is rarely permanent. Reboots, retcons, and revivals have desensitized readers. And when a given hero does eventually bite the dust, the reaction from most fans tends to be a big old shrug, as already they know that it won't be long before they're back in action. With the impact softened, writers have been left to wonder how to create those gut-wrenching moments again. Rather than killing a character off completely, it can be far more unsettling to see your favorite hero injured in such a way that you wonder how they are still alive. From limbs lost to the hero having his legs removed from the rest of his body, it's a tough life fighting crime and saving the world. However, it's not always a product of battle. Some of these injuries are simply a case of wrong place, wrong time. Some of the worst shows of violence aren't even at the hands of villains. The only consistent thing is that each panel will stick with you, for better or for worse. I'm Zoe from What Culture, and it's time to remember the best times we dismembered our favourite heroes. Number 10, Thor loses an arm. For a god, Thor Odinson is really bad at keeping his body parts attached. Maybe it runs in the family, given Odin's eye, or maybe it's just really bad luck. Most recently, the God of Thunder has been without his left arm, settling for a prosthetic made from Uru metal. Having found himself unworthy, Thor heads back to Midgard just in time to disrupt Malekith, and his squad of frost giants who have infiltrated a Roxxon storage facility. This encounter doesn't end well for the Odinson, as he attempts to battle for the first time without Mjolnir. Realizing he has the upper hand, the ruler of Svartalfheim gives one of his most arrogant monologues yet. Malekith effortlessly takes on the unworthy Thor, taunting him the entire time about the loss of his hammer. The fight ends when the Odinson is caught by a frost giant, and in the ultimate act of humiliation, Malekith chops off Thor's arm with his own axe. Last we see of our hero is him falling, unconscious, into a deep underwater trench. Yet somehow, a few issues later, the God of Thunder returns to face the new holder of Mjolnir, which is good for him. Number 9, Batman has his back broken. One of the most iconic images in comic history has to be that of the 1993 Batman 497. And it's hard to think of a more impactful introduction for a villain than the Nightfall arc, which saw Bane's debut. Bane starts by freeing every villain in Arkham Asylum's maximum security wing, creating a living nightmare for Gotham's residents. Batman takes it upon himself to single-handedly recapture as many of the escapees as he possibly can. But even Gotham's Sworn Protector needs a break once in a while. With the Cape Crusader weakened, Bane sees his opportunity to strike, having orchestrated the entire thing in order to take out the Bat. This terrifying new villain has discovered Batman's secret identity and heads to Wayne Manor to fight in the Batcave, the one place Bruce thought he was safe. The fight ends with Bane making the sadistic choice not to kill our hero, but rather to cause endless suffering instead. Bane lifts Bruce high above his head and slams him down onto his knee, as if not a person, but a plank of wood. With the fight over, Bane drops him and walks away, leaving the Dark Knight writhing on the ground helpless and in complete agony. With Bruce Wayne now paralyzed from the waist down, the Batman title is briefly passed on to Azrael. Unfortunately, during his short tenure, Azrael does an excellent job of completely destroying the good name Bruce spent so long trying to create, leading to his return and Azrael's eventual defeat. Number 8, the Hulk makes Deadpool explode. Narrowing down the multitude of gory injuries Wade Wilson has suffered is no easy task. The most incredible injury, however, came during 2008's Operation Annihilation arc, which sees the Crimson comedian try desperately to end his own life. Having exhausted most options available to him, he has the brilliant idea to pick a fight with the strongest Avenger there is. After using an entire building site as a weapon, the Merc with a Mouth manages to put Banner's other half in a near berserker-level fury. Luckily for him, the result is exactly what Wade wanted, as it provides him a fully raging Hulk ready to smash. Not so luckily, he managed to pick a spot right next to a daycare center. You may be able to see where this is going. As Wade tries to take the children to safety, he's followed by both the Hulk and the US Army. The Army, figuring the best way to stop Hulk's rampage is to kill Deadpool, opens fire, which thankfully misses the bus full of school children. The chase finally comes to an end when what appears to be Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus steals a gun and shoots the Merc, causing the bus to crash. When Hulk confronts him during the aftermath of all this chaos, Wade pleads his case. Banner comes to the realization that he has to do what's being asked of him, and literally punches Deadpool into 1,000,000 pieces. Of course, Deadpool's regeneration abilities ruin the plan completely, and one page later he's back again in one piece, and ready to bother Marvel's heroes all over again. Number 7, Dick Grayson gets shot in the head. While meeting by the Bat Signal one night, Batman, Nightwing, and Jim Gordon are discussing a napkin left in a local diner. The note scrawled on it alludes to the return of the Joker and the Riddler, despite both villains being imprisoned in Arkham for the past year after the end of the War of Jokes and Riddles. The conversation is cut short when a sniper takes aim and lodges a shot right in the skull of Grayson. As the Commissioner calls for assistance, we are shown the KG Beast packing away his rifle and leaving. It was later revealed that the hit was solicited by William Codd, who attempts to make Grayson into a Talon. Grayson may have survived the direct hit, but the damage to his brain causes him to lose all of his memories. No longer interested in playing superhero, the former Nightwing chooses to leave that life behind and finds release in an underground boxing community. Mercifully, this storyline, and Batman's guilt at having another of his kids hurt, appears to be coming to an end, but it will likely remain an important point in Nightwing's life from now on. Number 6. Spider-Man is burnt alive. There are panels so upsetting that you can never really get them out of your head. Amazing Spider-Man 700.3 gave us one of the most harrowing scenes to date. The issue gets off to a fiery start as the Wallcrawler takes on Firebrand, but Spidey is completely off his game. After one too many quips pushes him over the line, the enraged villain unleashes his full power in order to kill our beloved Webhead. There is a close-up of Peter's face as Firebrand burns him alive, firstly showing the costume burning away, then moving on to his skin cracking and burning. A huge explosion is caused as the villain reaches his very limits, destroying everything around him. Amazingly, Parker survives all of this and manages to crawl out of the rubble, his skin literally melting off his body. There's no doubt that this would have been the end for our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, if not for the swift arrival of paramedics, who managed to find his body and take him away. Number 5. Aquaman gets eaten by piranhas. Arthur Curry's redesign in the 90s books was an impressive departure from the classic look readers were used to. The protector of the Greep grew out his hair and his beard, had his hand eaten by flesh-eating fish, and got extremely beefed up. Cherub Dies captures Aquaman and the superheroine Dolphin in an attempt to absorb their powers. The plan fails when, as he goes to dunk Dolphin's face in a tank of piranhas, Curry breaks out of his restraints and attacks the villain. Cherub Dies manages to escape, but is quickly tracked down again, and the second fight doesn't go well for either side. The crazed villain manages to get the upper hand and pins Aquaman to the ground while holding his hand underwater. The next two gruesome panels show scraps of fabric, flesh, and blood flying everywhere, as piranhas lay waste to the king's hand. The fight is brought to an end when Dolphin emerges from the forest and shoots Cherub Dies in the chest. This seems to be no more than a minor annoyance for the lunatic, and he charges towards Dolphin to take his revenge. But in a spectacular display of justice, he's tripped by Arthur and falls into the same infested waters he just used as a weapon. Arthur Curry survives, but Cherub Dies does not. Number 4. Doctor Strange's car crash. Doctor Strange's origin story is a lesson to everyone on the dangers of being horribly arrogant. Speeding down a treacherous road, Strange loses control of his car and veers off a steep cliff. He quickly goes from being completely in control to someone who needs as much assistance as he could possibly get. You would think that that would humble the surgeon, even just a little bit. But that just isn't the Doctor's style. In fact, one of the first things he actually does once he regains consciousness is to insult the Doctor that worked so hard to save him. Number 3. Superman gets a face full of kryptonite. Things get pretty meta in Batman Superman 44 when the duo are watching a movie shoot. It just so happens that the movie they catch happens to be about themselves. Why they were there is unknown, though knowing them, it was likely just a boost for their egos. It's a good thing they were there, however, as the shoot is crashed by a crazed fan of the lead actor. Unfortunately for the crew, this isn't your regular crazed teenage girl that security can deal with. It's actually the villain Livewire, who's come to kidnap and hold said star ransom. As Superman jumps in to intervene and rescue the civilians involved, Livewire strikes him with 100 million volts. The attack barely registers, but there is a kryptonite rock on set brought by the props department. Livewire's attack arcs, hitting the rock and shattering it into small, dagger-like pieces. As Clark turns to challenge his foe, shards of kryptonite hit him squarely in the face and quickly start absorbing into his blood. If left for much longer, there is no doubt the poisoning would have killed the Man of Steel. Thankfully, Flash was on hand to hurry him back to the Fortress of Solitude, where Alfred manages to successfully remove every shard, proving once and for all that Alf is basically every hero's secret dad. Number 2. The Hulk rips Wolverine in half. People really have to stop firing nukes at the Hulk. In Ultimate Hulk vs. Wolverine, it was Nick Fury with the genius idea to end the Jolly Green Giant for once and for all. And predictably, it did not go well. After finding just a finger left, Fury's certainty about the fate of Banner's alter ego is called into question when worldwide reports of bombings and earthquakes have no evidence to support the claims, just massive amounts of destruction left behind from a mysterious source. The head of S.H.I.E.L.D. calls in Logan to track down the cause, suspecting that the Hulk is still on the loose. The journey takes him to Tibet, where he finds the Hulk living in a secret mountain hideout, surrounded by a lot of half-naked women, and basically living his best life. All is well, until Logan lets Hulk know that his love interest, Betty Brant, is involved with this newest assassination attempt. And it didn't take long for the anger to come back, as Logan is punched through the mountain wall into the freezing cold, quickly followed by a fully enraged monster. An unrelenting torrent of punching and smashing leaves Wolverine stunned, before the Hulk holds him up, rips him apart, and throws his legs 4 miles up the mountain. Still conscious and in agonizing pain, Wolverine pulls his upper half up to reclaim his legs, but he's beaten to the punch by the Hulk. As they discuss which leg he's going to eat first, a perfectly timed interruption comes in the form of She-Hulk. Otherwise it would have been a slow, cold death for Wolverine. Number 1. Red Arrow gets an arm off. Here's a friendly heads up from your pal Zoe. If you're going into the hero business, please wear some form of arm protection at all times. Otherwise, you could end up like Roy Harper in 2010's Cry for Justice storyline, as he leaves a Justice League meeting briefly to tend to his daughter, and returns later with a gory stump where his arm used to be. It's not till a later book we find out how it happened, in the subsequent Justice League Rise and Fall, which opens with Harper finishing up a video call with his daughter Leanne. As the call ends, Shazam walks into the room and sucker punches Roy in the back of the head. As he's questioned, he reveals himself to be the villain Prometheus, and the mastermind behind the destruction of Star City. While fighting Prometheus, Red Arrow is caught off guard when the villain goes down. His typical evil monologue is cut short as Prometheus launches a surprise attack, sending multiple discs that wound the hero. Leaving no chance for the hero to recover, a final blow from the villain takes Harper's arm clean off, which we are shown in surprisingly vivid detail. The rest of the Justice League managed to stop the purple-clad monster from destroying Star City completely, but for Red Arrow, the pain wasn't over. As Harper wakes up from his coma, the team break the news that Prometheus was stopped, but the city took heavy damage that took the life of Roy's daughter, Leanne Harper, marking this comic as the single worst day in Roy's entire life. And that was our list. Did we miss anything? How's your stomach feeling? Let us know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm still Zoe from What Culture, and I appreciate you guys clearly being as invested in gory comic moments as I am. Thanks for watching.